Assalamualaikum, welcome. Hi everyone, welcome. I'm just posting the topic for today. Can you guys hear me okay? All right, there we go. Okay, hopefully you guys can hear me all right. So the topic for today's live is vaginal steaming safe? Now, this is a question that I get a lot, especially from people who are curious about vaginal steaming, but who are a little bit just like unsure, as well as people who kind of come from more of like a Western health mindset, I suppose. So people who are maybe not as familiar with natural healing or with using herbs to heal. And so I do get this question often, and there are three parts to it that I want to talk to you guys about today. I guess like three of the main concerns that people have in relation to the safety of vaginal steaming. And then I also want to answer your questions about this topic or about anything in relation to vaginal steaming. But I will just go ahead and start talking about the three topics in relation to the safety of vaginal steaming. So the first thing people say is, Sabrina, I am not quite sure about vaginal steaming because my doctor said that it is not really the best thing for me to do because it's just unsafe. And so what I like to respond to that with is that we are blessed to have the Western medical system and blessed to have doctors and that perspective at especially at certain points when we need that type of approach. But the thing is that Western medicine and doctors who are practicing in that field have not been taught about vaginal steaming, and a lot of them have not been taught about herbs. Like they just did not learn about that in their medical training, and so of course they're not going to recommend to you to do vaginal steaming if that's not something that they even know about. Like of course they would say, I wouldn't recommend that for you. And so that is difficult for us because a lot of times we put our trust in our doctors, which can be a good thing, but it can also kind of make us feel a little bit turned away from some things that can actually be helpful to us. So a lot of doctors have the thought that vaginal steaming is unsafe because of the idea of it. You're literally putting your vagina above steaming herbs. And when you say it like that, it does sound kind of dangerous, right? But here's the thing. Women have been using vaginal steaming like since the beginning of time all around the entire world. Like literally women in Africa, women in Asia, women in Europe, women everywhere have been using vaginal steaming like ever since anyone can remember, basically. And so it's something that people have used for so long. So that definitely says that there is a safe way to do vaginal steaming. You just have to learn how to do it safely. And so for doctors, I think when they first hear like that, the whole concept of vaginal steaming, sitting above a pot of steaming herbs, that sounds very dangerous. But there are details to that. There are details like you never sit above the steam if it is hot. Like you don't, you're going to be logic about the situation. You don't want to sit above the steam if it's hot because of course it's going to burn you like it would burn any other part of your body. So you want to make sure that the steam is actually going to be warm and gentle, just like you would in a bath. So you could literally like tie this into taking a bath. Like, oh my gosh, you could totally get burned. You could get burned when you're taking a bath or a shower, stuff like that. But of course, you're going to be safe with it. Of course, you're going to learn the different factors of it and how to do it safely. And of course, you're not going to sit above steam that's going to be like hurting you. So it is important that we take into consideration the fact that not a lot of people have heard about this therapy. So there will naturally be doubts and concerns in like tied into that. And I really like it. I understand, like I understand the concern of the people who kind of have an objection to it, but I also feel as though us being turned away from even trying to look into vaginal steaming by just like the term of like it's not safe is actually taking a lot away from us, because through vaginal steaming a woman can experience her own self go from struggling and being uncomfortable and being in pain to healing. And that process of being able to set up your steam session, to be able to have that sacred special time with yourself, to be able to care for your own feminine wellness with your own two hands is empowering. It is so empowering. And if women are pushed away from even trying to experience that and feel that empowerment, it's actually taking a lot away from us. So my recommendation is to look into vaginal steaming, study it, learn how to do it safely. And I'm totally somebody who is here to help you and support you in doing that to the best of my ability. But yeah, it's important to make sure that you are doing it correctly and safely so that it can be a positive, beneficial experience. Just like taking a bath, you want to do it in a safe way. Driving a car, you want to do it in a safe way. And then you will be able to experience the benefit from it. So I just love that it is something that people have done for thousands and thousands of years all around the world. And to me, that makes me feel even more connected to this practice, because it is something that gives me confidence. It gives me confidence that people all around the world did it, and people did it for thousands of years. And so that to me sounds like it's something totally reliable. Like if people, like it would have died down if it was something that didn't actually work. And that'll take me into my next topic. But there was something I wanted to say. I actually forgot what I was going to say about that. It was something in relation to, I don't know. But anyways, okay, so let's just go on, and hopefully it'll come back to me. But so now I want to talk about now I remember what I was going to say. Okay, so another thing that really helps when people are kind of questioning if steaming actually works or if it's safe and things like that is Kelly Garza. Kelly Garza is the woman who I did my training through and who I learned about vaginal steaming from, and she herself has helped over 700 women use vaginal steaming to address different types of gynecological issues like fertility, fibroids, cysts, infections, menstrual cycle issues, things like that. And so if she was able to help 700 women like attain the healing that they were looking for, then to me that sounds like super reliable. Like at least to me that sounds like amazing. Like it's mind-blowing that such a simple treatment was able to help her help 700 women. And so look on her website, steamychick.com, read the blogs, read the stories, and that will help you to kind of understand like, wow, this is something that is helping women. It's not just like some idea. Okay, so that's what I wanted to say. And then now I want to talk about the second concern that people have, and that is, okay, how does steaming with herbs actually help? Like, how does that even help you? Like, how does that help with your cycles? How does that help with fertility? All of that. And I can go into those specific topics, but I want to talk about this generally. So some people will say that, like when you're steaming, the steam is actually going to the womb and cleansing it. And yes, that is true in a way, but when you, like, especially for people who are having a hard time understanding vaginal steaming and trusting that it's an actual legitimate practice, it doesn't make sense to say that the steam is like going up through the vagina and into the womb. And so that's where a lot of people feel like, oh, that doesn't really make sense, and I'm just not going to believe in it. And I'm not here to tell you like believe in this, but I do want to help you feel comfortable and to have the understanding and the courage to be able to try this if this is something you're interested in. So anyways, when you are steaming, there is that potential that the steam is actually able to penetrate and go into the vagina. But what makes sense to me is this: when you're steaming, Just like, for example, if your nose is all stuffy, like this is a really good example. So if your nose is all stuffy, there's this practice that people do where they have like hot water and they put eucalyptus in the water, like eucalyptus oils, and then you'll put your head over the steam and like cover your head, and that eucalyptus is carried through in the steam, and it goes into your nasal passages and clears out whatever stuffiness is inside of your nose. And this is basically the same way that vaginal steaming works. So when you're sitting above the steam, the healing medicinal properties of the herbs that you have chosen to use in your steam session is actually in the steam. It's actually carried with the steam and brought to your vaginal space. And this is real. Like, you can actually feel this. You can actually, when you're sitting above the steam, there's a gentle feeling of warmth, like touching your vulva. And so it's very gentle, like just as if you would put your hand over a cup of tea. That steam will touch your hand and you'll feel that. Like it just feels warm. And so when that steam touches you, it's also carrying the medicinal properties of the herbs, just like in that example I gave you of the eucalyptus and your nose. And so when that happens, your tissues at your vulva and in your vagina are they're very sensitive, and they can absorb a lot. They can absorb very easily, I should say. So when this happens, the medicinal properties of the herbs are actually being absorbed into the bloodstream. And of course, it's going to then affect your pelvic space. So it's not only your like your vulva and your vaginal canal. It's actually going to support that whole pelvic area. And then you will be able to experience the cleanse if that's the herbs that you're using. So if you're using herbs that are cleansing, you will experience the cleanse. Or if you're using herbs that address infections, you will hopefully experience a cleanse of the infections or a purification from the infections. All of these different types of approaches that you can use the herbs for is what will be absorbed into your bloodstream. And that's why it's so important that you do use an herbal blend, and that you do use the correct herbal blend for your specific situation. So if you guys need help choosing the correct herbal blend, I have 5 herbal blends in my Etsy shop right now. 4 that are in stock actually. Send me a DM though if you're having a difficult time choosing which blend is perfect for you. I just will ask you a few questions, and then I'll let you know exactly what blend I believe is right for your situation. So yeah, so it's very important that you're choosing the right herbs. And it is true that warmth and heat, it is true that improves circulation. So if you're sitting above the steam and there is that warmth happening in your pelvic space and your vaginal space, then of course there's going to be circulation in that area. There's going to be an improved circulation in that area. And where there's circulation, where there's blood, there is healing and there is life. And so a lot of times, a lot of the different gynecological issues that we are dealing with is because of stagnation, just like stuckness and the lack of circulation in that pelvic space. So when you're sitting above the steam and sitting above that warmth, you are actually encouraging your circulation, your blood flow to this area, to this pelvic space, and that encourages your healing. So that's the second thing I wanted to talk about. I'm almost out of breath. I have one question here. Is it safe to do while pregnant? No, steaming is not safe to do while pregnant. So you never want to steam when you're pregnant, and you never want to steam when you are actively bleeding, like if you have your period or if you're spotting. And then you don't want to steam if you have an active infection, because that can kind of be a situation where the infection gets worse before it gets better. And not worse because of steaming, but the steam will actually try to cleanse out this infection, and you may experience the symptoms a little bit more intense. And so no, you'd never ever want to steam while you're pregnant. And that's because there is this cleanse that's going to be happening in the womb space. And you don't want to encourage a womb cleanse or a uterine cleanse when you have a baby growing in there. So that just keeping that in mind. Okay, so I talked about kind of like the idea of steaming being safe or not, and talking about how women have done steaming for thousands of years and how I feel that is enough for me to see it as safe. And then we also talked about how steaming actually works with the steam and the herbs and the circulation. And then now I want to talk a little bit about What was I'm trying to remember. I had 3 points that I really wanted to highlight because there's just so many. Um, Gotcha, makes sense. Good for postpartum healing though. Yeah. Yes, so and people get confused about that because during the postpartum time you are actually bleeding. And so I can kind of explain, but when you after birth, basically the blood is not flowing. Like it's not a flow. It's just that what's coming out is lochia. It's pregnancy matter that needs to come out and needs to cleanse. So you can steam when you are postpartum and the blood is still kind of coming out that way. Thank you for educating us on such important issues. I'm a pharmacist and they never teach us such pivotal things at university. Yeah, exactly. And I'm so grateful that you are here and that you are open-minded to kind of go into this and learn about this because it's true. It's true. Like it's just not taught. It's just not taught in our culture. It's just not taught in the medical system. And so it's beautiful though that you are here and you are open-minded. Is steaming good for prolapse patients? Yeah, steaming is definitely great for prolapse because it is this active upward motion and that can actually help to strengthen and support the muscles, which can help with prolapse. So that is definitely amazing. Yeah, I love you guys' questions. Thank you so much for interacting with me in this live. I always appreciate having this conversation and being able to speak to you guys about these things. So let me know if you guys have more questions. I wanted to mention about my third topic, which I'm still trying to remember what it was. So sorry, guys. I was like telling myself I need to write these down, but there's just so many different things that I'd like to kind of talk about in relation to the safety of vaginal steaming, and I was just trying to pick those three because I felt like they were the most important. But go ahead and ask more questions if you have any, and I will try to recall what the third one was that I wanted to share with you guys. Oh, yes, I remember. Okay. Gratitude. Thank you, God, for helping me remember. So pH is something that people are always asking me, like, okay, is vaginal steaming even safe? Because wouldn't that mess up your pH balance? And pH is basically your vaginal ecosystem. And the idea of your pH being like imbalance through steaming, from what I understand, is actually coming from other experiences that people have had with their pH falling out of balance when they use mainstream products. So when people use things like vaginal washes, like what's that thing called, like Summer's Eve, I think that's what it's called. It's like vaginal soaps. Okay, when people are using vaginal soaps, when they're using like these different types of things that are like to cleanse the vagina and stuff like that, all that stuff is that stuff is chemicals. That stuff is not natural. That stuff most likely includes synthetic fragrances and a whole bunch of junk and garbage. So of course, when that stuff goes into your vagina, of course it's going to create a whole bunch of like ruckus. Like, of course, there's going to be an imbalance in your pH because all of that stuff is synthetic. All of that stuff is fake and it includes toxins. Like kind of going off topic, but same with tampons and pads that are made out of like non-organic ingredients. Like all of that stuff has like toxins. And when you have scented products, that is not real. Like that stuff is not natural. And so your body's going to be affected because it's going to have to figure out, how do I process this unnatural thing inside of my body, especially in that very sacred and like tender and sensitive space. So things like vaginal washes, vaginal soaps, all that kind of stuff, that can really imbalance your pH. So it is important that we understand that, but then it's also important that we understand that with vaginal steaming, you are using organic herbs, and that is natural to our body. Things like mint, lavender, rose, red raspberry leaf. Those are all herbs that are going to actually be very supportive to our vaginal space and our womb wellness. And that is something that would be supportive to the pH system. And so again, this kind of brings me back to looking into stories, like looking into Kelly Garza's experience with helping 700 women. Look at all of those stories. All of those women experienced benefit and experienced healing and wellness rather than a pH imbalance that was causing them issues. So it really is important that we again, look into this for ourselves, research it yourself, but it is really important that we understand that this is natural and it's not something that is going to kind of cause issues. If anything, it will help to reset and support the pH. And yeah, so yeah, it is definitely very important to kind of keep these things in mind and to do your research too. There's absolutely amazing stories of, and in my own self, like some of the things that I've experienced were like for example, when I steamed regularly, on a regular schedule of steaming, I experienced the very first period of my entire life of having a period. So I had my period for 12 years before I had a pain-free period. And the pain-free period came after I was consistent with steaming. That was like mind-blowing for me. Like I was crying when I had my period without pain. I'm not joking. You know what I mean? I've had a lot of great experiences with clients, but I did want to share like my own personal experience too. So definitely check that out. There's also a legitimate case study, like that postpartum vaginal steam case study. So it's like directed to healing after birth. And that is called the 4th trimester vaginalsteamstudy.com, or that's the website. They also have an Instagram page. And so check that out, read all of the graphs, educate yourself in that. And if it feels right, then having this information will hopefully give you the courage to try it for yourself. Hello, welcome. Okay, I'm going to look over some of the comments. Okay. So I talked about the prolapse. What herbs are good to put in with postpartum steaming? So there are a lot of different herbs that are great. Witch hazel is one of them. And I highly recommend that people use an herbal blend. So like a combination of herbs rather than just one herb. And I have a postpartum vaginal steam blend in my Etsy shop. I have heard of people using Luban as steam postpartum. Is that kind of the same thing? Yes. So Luban is basically frankincense resin, and that is a different style of steaming. It's not with steam, it's with smoke, usually. So you're like actually burning this incense and using it. And I believe that they do that in Somalia, which is actually where my mom is from. And so it's actually more of a steam, or a smoke. And that's done in Chinese medicine as well. So what if you don't use intimate products for the vagina? What would you use to clean it? Just water? Yeah, just water. You don't want to use like soaps with like fragrance and things like that added to it. And you can use vaginal steaming. So every month after your period ends, you can have a regular routine of steaming. And you can also steam once a week, and that will help to refresh and cleanse and purify and support your intimate space. So that's what I recommend doing. I recommend replacing these vaginal washes with a practice like vaginal steaming because that stuff usually includes a lot of chemicals. Oops, great topic. I'm interested in learning more. Yes, girl. It's vaginal steaming is so awesome. Those things are rubbish. Stay away from fragrances down there. Yep, I agree. Such an eye-opening topic. At medical school, herbal medicine is seen as hocus pocus. Yes, so that's another thing. A lot of people will say vaginal steaming is not safe because it's like the things that hippie people do and there's no real benefit to that. But no. No. It's not hocus pocus. The sad fact is the medicines we prescribe and dispense are just treating the surface of the issue and side effects. Yes, exactly. And I totally appreciate that you as a pharmacist is sharing this perspective. That's like amazing. I really appreciate you for opening up and sharing that perspective. And yeah, that's the thing. We're not addressing the root cause of the issue. And with steaming, you are actually supporting the womb and the vaginal space, which is where all of the different gynecological issues that you are experiencing is stemming from. So it is important to be taking care of the root cause rather than just the symptoms. I don't know what happened. I don't know if something bit me over here or what. How often should we steam? So that's very different for each person. The general steam practice would be to steam once a week, and then at the end of your period. When your period ends and you're all done bleeding, all of that's done, you can steam and then steam once a week. Now for people who have specific issues, if you have painful periods, if you experience cramping, if you are dealing with infertility, if you have endometriosis, fibroid cysts, chronic infections, if you have a specific issue that you want to address, you actually need to have a steam plan. So a plan that says you need to steam on these days of your cycle, these days of the month for this long, and basically a protocol for you to follow for 3 to 6 months. And I will soon, this is actually a secret, but I'm going to let you guys know now. I will soon be offering one-on-one health coaching sessions to do this for you, to actually help you have a protocol to follow to attain the results that you're looking for with vaginal steaming. So if you're interested in that, send me a DM. But yeah, the general recommendation is once a week and at the end of your period. Thank you, Sabrina, for bringing attention to this. I am becoming very interested in vaginal steaming. Yeah, it's amazing. Actually, it took me a very long time to actually try it, but when I tried it, I fell in love with it, and I knew right away that it was something I wanted to study and help other women with as well. And so I think it just takes us time sometimes, and that's the thing. It just takes us like time to research, to look into it, to think about it, see if it's right for us, and then to just kind of gain the courage to actually try it. But it is very, very simple, and it's I love it, and I love the fact that it's something you can do in the privacy of your own home. Okay, guys. Oops. Oop. All right, guys, I will leave you with this video. I am hoping that you will share this video and that it was beneficial to you. I am so grateful to all of you for being here. I truly appreciate being able to have this interaction, to have these questions and your own thoughts. I truly, truly appreciate it. So thank you so much. Take care. Have a great rest of your day.